So with DraftKings, as always, we're going to be taking a look at the set piece takers as they really provide the floor, especially in these kind of classic games. We really need those players with the floor to then send us flying up the leaderboards when they do end up scoring or assisting. So for the Manchester City versus Newcastle game, we're looking at De Bruyne. Foden maybe takes a couple of set pieces as well, but mainly when De Bruyne starts, he's on all the set pieces. I'm expecting him to start tomorrow, and that is just a very, very easy pick. For Newcastle, if Matt Ritchie plays, he might be on set pieces as well, but the main guy really is Shelvey. He's won pretty much all the corners, all the free kicks, so he should be a good option, and he won't be too expensive as well, as they are playing Manchester City. The Sheffield United versus Wolves game, Fleck is one of the main guys for Sheffield United. Norwood as well, they tend to sort of rotate between the left side and the right side, so Fleck is left-footed, so he'll take all the in-swinging crosses from the right-hand side, and Norwood is right-footed, so he'll be taking all the in-swinging crosses from the left-hand side. Fleck tends to be a little bit more expensive because he has a higher goal threat. Now taking a look at the West Ham versus Burnley game, Bowen has, since he's joined, has really been taking up the majority of their set pieces, got a wonderful left foot on him, and he's been picking up plenty of assists from said set pieces and has a very, very high goal scoring potential, so a very nice asset there. For Burnley, we have Westwood. He takes the majority of their set pieces, along with McNeil, who's a very, very threatening and good DFS option. So let's take a look at some of the other players on the slate. So when I'm making this, I don't actually have the slate in front of me. However, with the way these things sort of go, we can kind of predict the rough kind of price brackets that players are going to be within. So first of all, we're going to take into consideration the forwards that could be playing in this game. So with the Manchester City versus Newcastle game, it's hard to predict which forwards for Manchester City will be playing. However, it's Manchester City. Any one of them that you pick has a very, very high goal scoring potential. The likes of Mahrez, the likes of Jesus, the likes of Sterling, all could come in very nicely with some goals. They're likely to be reasonably expensive, however, could potentially drop a bit in price because of that loss last week, although plenty of the players did come in with very nice DFS scores, even though they did lose that game at 1-0. For Newcastle, players like Almiron and St. Maximin have been playing very, very well for Newcastle, contributing goals and assists to the team. I'd stay clear of the likes of Jolinton. He hasn't really been doing too much and doesn't have the greatest of flaws either. But Sheffield United versus Wolves game, McBurney for Sheffield United, definitely one to look out for. One I expect to maybe be a little bit cheaper than the rest of the field, maybe between that $6,000 to kind of $8,000 kind of range. A player who you could definitely expect to see pop up with a goal and has not too bad of a floor, but if he doesn't score, probably expecting to see around 5 points. Now for Wolves, plenty of options here. We've got the likes of Traore and Jimenez, even Jota if you want a bit more of a differential player, especially if we're playing the likes of GPP. A guy like Jota really could send you flying up the leaderboards. Traore probably has the best floor out of the lot of them, and as he gets down that wing, and he gets so many crosses in and he gets fouled a lot as well. If you're going to have Traore, may as well have Jimenez as well. Those two are the most threatening Premier League partnership this year, so they're likely to be getting an assist if the other one scores. Jimenez obviously one of the most threatening attackers on this slate. Now looking at the West Ham versus Burnley game. West Ham, for West Ham, I'd be going for Antonio. He's scored 3 in the last 2. He's got electric form, and hopefully we can see that continue here. Antonio definitely want to be looking out for, and probably won't be too expensive either, although he does have good form, which tends to bump the prices up on the likes of DraftKings. Looking at Burnley, their attacking options aren't too great. I wouldn't really be considering the likes of Joe Rodriguez or Vidra unless they were in the sort of 5,000 to 6,000 range. Then you can maybe take a punt on them. Any more expensive than that, I think it's a no from me. Going into the midfield for the Manchester City versus Newcastle game, again with Manchester City, any of their attacking midfielders, the likes of Bernardo Silva, the likes of David Silva, the likes of even Phil Foden, could definitely come in with big returns. Phil Foden likely to be a little bit cheaper than the other Manchester City assets, and we did see him come on and take a few corners against Southampton even when De Bruyne was on the pitch, so definitely one to look out for. He was around 7,000 in the last slate, so if he's around that price again, I definitely think about picking him up. For Newcastle, again, Jonjo Shelvey, Matt Ritchie, Guys on set pieces, these two guys definitely want to look out for, but you don't want to pay too much of a premium because they are playing against Manchester City, a very possession-based team, so they won't really have that much of an opportunity to get too many contributions. Now, Sheffield United versus Wolves. Again, we've said Moutinho, we've said Fleck. Maybe have a look at Norwood as well. He could be quite good. And Sander Berge for Sheffield United. We did see him picking up a goal in the last fixture, and he likes to get in some very forward attacking positions. Also, the likes of Ruben Neves for Wolves is quite cheap on the slates, and he does like a few shots, and he gets himself on a few of those free kicks just outside the box, and he could very easily go and score. For the West Ham versus Burnley game, McNeil as a player for me, I really like. He'll be reasonably expensive on the slate. However, if he's cheaper than the likes of like De Bruyne and Moutinho, or even the likes of Jimenez, then I think McNeil is definitely the one to go. He's got a very good floor, almost De Bruyne-esque, not quite the same. De Bruyne has a bit higher of a likelihood to score. However, McNeil against a defensively poor West Ham side, I can see him doing some damage there. West Ham as well, they've got an okay midfield. Mark Noble is more of a defensive midfielder. Again, Jarrod Bowen, the main guy to look for. Lanzini, if you want to take a punt, but again, Jarrod Bowen, I think, is the stud here. Looking at the defenders, we're mainly going to be looking at the fullbacks for both sides. Manchester City, don't really know what fullbacks they're going to come out with. If Mendy plays, a very good option. Cancelo, we saw play at the weekend, he was very good going forward. Kyle Walker, if he does play a little bit more defensively, however, also does like to get forward. For Newcastle, maybe stay clear of the defenders a little bit, just because even their wing backs won't really be able to get forward. However, they will be a bit cheaper, so you could maybe use that as sort of a value. You could maybe get a bit more value out of those players because they're cheaper and they're playing against a much better Manchester City side. For the Sheffield United versus Wolves game, some very good defensive options here. Doherty likely to be one of the most expensive players on the slate. Same as Johnny playing on that left side. They love to bomb down and could even pick up a goal or an assist. For Sheffield United, we do see them playing the overlapping centre-back, so maybe the likes of, if O'Connell is back, I'd like to see O'Connell. We saw Egan score at the weekend, although he plays in that very central centre-back role. The likes of Bulldog, Stevens like to get flying forward, and those are the guys I'll be kind of looking at for Sheffield United. For West Ham, Konsa, a guy playing in that full-back position, very good player, I very much like him, reasonably cheap as well, so definitely get your hands on him. For Burnley, their two fullbacks, Taylor's one of them, forget the other one, but their two fullbacks tend to be between sort of 4,000 and 5,000. They'll bring you in very solid points every week, between that sort of 5 to 10 point range, very solid players. Now onto goalkeepers, the Manchester City versus Newcastle game. Edison here, I mean, he's not likely to pick up many shots. If you think Manchester City are going to win this and pick up a clean sheet, then Edison's guy to go for, even though he probably will be the most expensive player on the slate. We saw Alex McCarthy, Southampton goalkeeper, come in with 22 points when they played against Manchester City, which maybe could be a consideration to bring in Dubravka, although I feel like Manchester City will definitely want to absolutely hammer Newcastle after they lost that game to Southampton. So I'm not really going to be going with too many defensive assets from Newcastle. The Wolves versus Sheffield United game, very interesting one. Both teams like to play sort of 3/5 of the back formations. So this could be quite a cagey one. I expect to see Dean Henderson and Rui Patricio around the similar kind of price mark. We may see Rui Patricio being a little bit cheaper just because they are away from home. However, Wolves considered as a bit better a team than Sheffield United, so you never really know. I expect them to be within $100 or $200 off each other. If Rui Patricio is the cheaper one, I would kind of prefer to go with him. West Ham United versus Burnley. Now, Nick Pope playing for Burnley. It's likely that Burnley will be put as the underdogs for this one because West Ham have a bit of form. They're playing at home, and Nick Pope, though, does have the second best clean sheet record this season, only behind Liverpool. So one to definitely look out for. Even if it's going to be a 0-0, Nick Pope likes to pick up a save. That being said, Fabianski also does like to pick up a save as well. So whichever of these are cheaper, I think and I hope that Nick Pope is cheaper because he'll be a very easy option into the team. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I've tried to give a bit of an insight into tomorrow's fixtures. Obviously, I don't have the slate in front of me, so I can't really gauge the prices. But I hope you have enjoyed. If you have, leave a like, hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell on, and I'll catch you soon.